my neighborhood, so I only pray for one block. But I'm trying to get further so I can pray for more people. But I'm just like, God, bring disciples, you know? I don't know how it works in my own neighborhood now. You know, bring disciples to me. And then like 2-3 weeks ago, I met a guy at the park. We started talking, and I'm like, man, let's start meeting weekly. You know, just meet here at the park. You bring your son, bring my son, bring your dog. You know, we'll just hang out, and I'll talk to you more about God. And just yesterday, he texts me and says, can I get baptized? Yes. You know? Wow. Let's do it. And it's just, I don't know what's going to happen. You know, you just keep trying. You try. You know, even on the plane ride here a couple hours ago, sitting next to these two people, and my wife and I have been working on this book, you know, together. It's called You and Me Forever. It's about marriage in light of eternity. It's like, man, we can have a great time on earth, but we're both going to die and face God. So how should we invest our lives? You know, that's the point of the book, is maybe we shouldn't focus on the family. And actually, by focusing on God and His mission, your family naturally comes together, you know? And so it's, you know, it's like a mission trip where you go and you don't try to get close to each other, but when you all focus on the mission, you just become this bonded group that you don't ever want to leave. And that's what we found in family, but I'm not hearing people talk about that. And so it's kind of this book, and I'm editing it because I'm not thrilled with it yet, you know, and I'm playing with it. You know, and start talking to the people next to me, and they're like, is that a book you're writing? I go, yeah, I'm actually an author. You know, and we start talking. These are brilliant couple of PhDs right next to me, you know, Chinese girl, Shanghai, and white guy. And that's not very racist. I'm just having a good time because we're mixed in. To me, it's just such a joke, you know. We're all a body, we're a family, you know. It's just like black, white, Mexican, whatever. I mean, in fact, the church, I love my church because it's like every race in there, and you got Harvard MBAs next to a guy right out of prison. You're just hugging, and you're just family. First time for me where I've had a multicultural, socioeconomic, you know, just different backgrounds in one place. Truly family, and I love it. But anyway, I'm sitting next to these guys, and my wife is white, so I'm not prejudiced, okay? I just want to clarify that. Anyways, we start talking about marriage. It's so funny. You know, and I don't know if I got anywhere with these two, but you just try, right? And they're both economics professors, and he says, actually, he was teaching me, you know, he's like, have you ever looked into marriage from an economic perspective? Because I actually have, and do you realize that marriage is really a financial, it's like a contract. But he says, but the interesting thing about marriage is it's both, I'm going to get the words wrong, a monopoly and a monopsony. Monopsony? Monopsony? Monopsony. Okay. A monopoly and a monopsony. Okay. What nationality are you? That's okay. Okay, monopsony. And he was talking, he goes, you know, a monopoly and a monopsony is, it's basically you have one seller and one buyer. It's both. And when you only have one seller and one buyer, the quality always goes down because there's no competition, there's no drive to pursue more, and so it doesn't really work from a financial perspective. And I go, yeah, that's true. You know, I guess that's why people lose interest and it goes down and everything else. But, you know, we just had this whole debate about whether or not I should be rescuing sex slaves. And, you know, we didn't feel like it was financially working out economically. I don't know what you're saying, but, you know, we're going back and forth. So I just felt like, no. So I don't know I say that to not make you think that, man, Francis, everywhere he goes, he'll talk, and people come to the Lord and want to get baptized. No, it's like 1 out of 40 or so, you know? And you just go and you say, you learn about synopsines, and you go, I gave them the book, I go, hey, here's the book I was talking about, you know? And you never knows what happens. You just throw things out there. Sometimes it hits, sometimes it doesn't. But to me, it's like, that's what I want all my people doing.
That's right.
It's like, just try, throw something out there, and there will be those times when God's going, no, that's actually someone I've chosen, and I had him meet you because he was searching for God. And I mean, it's not really anything I talk people into. It's just the timing of their lives. It's that Acts 17 where he says God determined when they would be born, where they would live, and all the things that happened that they might feel their way towards him and find him. And I feel like that's happened in certain people's lives where God just orchestrated and said, you know what, this guy's coming out of prison, but he's the real thing, and I'm going to have him, you know, meet you on the street. I'm going to have him watch that DVD series. Come in, you know, this whole thing. I'm actually going to build a ministry bigger than yours, Francis, through this guy. And then I'm going to have this other guy. I'm going to have you run. You know, you put on a little weight. You know, I'm going to get you running and praying for your neighborhood, and I'm going to do this thing. I mean, it's just the way he orchestrates. And you got to keep that going where, well, this is who I was when I was in high school. You know, where I just tried stuff. And, man, I was the guy that just would cut class and talk to friends and just out of a burden, like, dude, okay, I gotta just tell you what I believe because it's kind of driving me crazy because I care about you. I know this is weird, I know, but let me just say what I believe and you can do with it what you want. But I couldn't graduate without telling you this. I'm the guy that grabbed the yearbook when I was a junior and I just started calling every senior that I knew. Just went down the list and just goes, dude, this is a weird call, but I just don't know if I'm going to see you again. You know, you graduate in a couple of weeks, I'm a junior, and man, I just want to know, man, it's been cool, hang out with you, get to know you, and I'll just tell you something that happened in my life. Like, you're going to think this is insane, but, you know, like, it's just you try, you know, and I remember my best friend just weeping over him, crying over him and just seeing him just ditching God, ditching God, ditching God. Again, crazy thing. 2 weeks ago, I get an email from him. Man, this is 30 years later. And he goes, man, I've been thinking about you all the time. You know, I got divorced and remarried up in Seattle. And lately I've just been thinking about you. And then thinking about church and taking my family to a church, and so I just went on this one website of this church in Seattle, and the pastor wrote on there a quote from you. I'm like, what? I know that guy. And so I went on Facebook, you're on Facebook, but I found your brother, he gave me your email, and here I am, and I'm like, no way, man, this was my best friend in high school and junior college, and God's bringing him back 30 years later. You know, 30 years later. You don't script these things. You know, you just say what you can, and you just think, man, nothing happened. Nothing happened back then. How many times I went after that guy? So none of these things are events. None of these things are over any of your heads. It's just going out in faith, talking, building relationships, sharing the gospel. Don't put the pressure on yourself.
Right.
You're not going to talk someone else into the kingdom. I mean, you're talking about God taking a heart of stone and removing it and putting in a heart of flesh. You're going to do that? What, are you going to help? It's a miracle. You know? You're talking about the dead coming to life.
Come on.
You're talking about taking a pile of dry, brittle bones and having it take on flesh and come to life. That's what the Holy Spirit does. And so what do? You know, it's like, God, if I can be a part of that process, if you're wanting to do that with someone, I'd love to be a part of that. And I want to be out sharing and just seeing what happens. what comes from this. Because I don't even want to pretend that I charted anything out in my life, or planned it out, or made it happen. The way that I've done things is I'm just going to try stuff.
Yep.
And usually the stuff I try doesn't work, but as I'm on the way to trying it, I meet someone, you know? And it starts to click, and that happens, and then I'll be pursuing something else, and I'll meet someone along the way. And so you never know. So I build these relationships. I come here and not even knowing what I'm doing, and you know, it's like, okay, let me just go with it, and let me